The war ended 10 years ago, but for Leora, it never really ended. She was only 9 when the blast took her legs. A rebel bomb exploded near her school. Everything turned red, hot, and loud. Then silence, and after that, nothing below her. Waste ever moved again. Now 19, she lived on the second floor of a broken building. She sat in her old, rusted wheelchair, watching people walk by below, children playing, adults working, soldiers training. Everyone moved so fast, so easily. And there she was, stuck like always. She had arms strong from pushing wheels, but her legs, thin and lifeless, just hung like dead vines. Her mother, Rena, used to believe Leora would be chosen for the healing program. The government promised help to war victims, but they never came. Not for poor people, not for aliens like her. Leora belonged to the Ushale, a peaceful species once respected. But after the war, people blamed her kind for everything. Even now they spit near her home, whispering hate under their breath. One rainy evening, Leora heard voices outside, whispers, angry and curious. A human had arrived, they said, not a soldier, not a traitor, something else. He's dangerous. Said one. He builds machines that break laws, warned another. The name Alex Ward was spoken with fear and wonder. He lived near the scrapyard, on the edge of the city, alone. Some said he was once a soldier. Others said he was a scientist who lost everything. Now he worked with metal, strange tools, and quiet purpose. Leora's curiosity grew each day. She'd seen him once, tall, tired eyes, carrying robot parts. His clothes were covered in ash, but his steps were firm, unlike hers. One morning, she made a decision. She packed a small bag, took her worn gloves, and rolled her wheelchair out. Every push on the wheels hurt her arms, but she didn't stop. It took her an hour to reach the scrapyard. Old machines and metal parts lay everywhere. Sparks flew from behind a wall. Someone was welding. She moved closer, her heart pounding. A dog barked nearby, then stopped. Then she saw him. Alex turned. Slowly, wiping sweat from his forehead, he stared at her, surprised but not unkind. "What do you want?" he asked. His voice was deep, like someone who didn't talk much. "I want to walk," Leora said. Simple words, but they hung in the air like thunder. Alex looked at her legs, then at her eyes. "No one will help you?" he asked. She shook her head. "They say it's illegal, dangerous, impossible." He sighed, placing his tool down. "Well," he said, "those are my favorite kind of problems." That day, they talked. He showed her parts of machines, wires, artificial muscles. She didn't understand much, but she felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. Not fake hope like empty promises. Real hope, cold and heavy in the chest. Real hope makes you cry when no one is watching. But Alex warned her. "What I do, it's not accepted." The government banned robotic limb replacements after rebels used them as weapons. Even healing tech was outlawed if it came from humans. Leora didn't care. "If I stay in this chair, I'll die without ever knowing what it feels like to dance," she said. Alex stared at her for a long time, then nodded slowly. "I'll need time, and you'll need courage." "I have both," she whispered. That night, she returned home. Her mother saw the dirt on her arms and the sparks in her eyes. "You went to him?" Rena asked. Leora nodded. "You'll bring danger to us," her mother warned. "Maybe," Leora said, "but I'll also bring legs." As she lay in bed, she didn't dream of wheels. She dreamed of standing, running, climbing hills she'd only seen from windows. And somewhere in the dark, the metal pieces on Alex's table slowly took shape. The girl who couldn't stand was about to rise, and the world would never be the same again. Asterisk. The scrapyard was quiet. Only the wind moved through the piles of broken machines. Birds avoided this place. Even insects did not stay long. But inside a small workshop made from old starship hulls and scorched stone, something strange was being built. Alex Ward, the human, stood over a work table full of wires, sparks flying from his gloves. He was not just building metal legs. He was building rebellion, he knew that, and he did not care anymore once. Alex had been a brilliant military engineer. He helped design exosuits for elite Earth soldiers. But then came the tragedy. His sister lost both her legs in a mining accident. The Earth Council refused to help her. They said it wasn't profitable. She died a year later from sadness, not sickness. After that, Alex disappeared. He walked away from war, from money, from Earth. Now he lived on a broken planet full of pain and forgotten people. A place where laws protected only the rich. And dreams died quietly. But something had changed. A girl had come to him. Not asking for money or a weapon, just a chance to walk again, every night. Leora came to his lab after sundown. She would wheel herself in and help sort wires, polish parts, or hold small tools. Alex taught her the names of the materials. Carbon, fiber, synbone, nerve mesh, he said. Her hands trembled at first. But she learned fast. She had fire in her heart. The kind machines understood. He scanned her damaged spine with his handheld tool. The nerves were crushed, but not completely dead. There's still something there, he told her. Enough to link with the implants. Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't cry. Instead, she smiled for the first time in years, a real smile. Not the tired one she wore for her mother. But while they worked, others watched. The scrapyard had no fences. Strangers passed by, pretending not to look, but rumors were growing fast. Human is building war tech again, they whispered. He's turning an alien girl into a weapon. One evening, a cloaked figure approached the lab. Alex noticed him before he spoke. Careful where your sparks fly, human, the stranger said. You might burn yourself. Alex didn't flinch. Then I'll burn, he replied calmly. The figure left a warning device on the table, a small badge with the symbol of the sector authority. They were watching, and they didn't like what he was doing. Leora saw it too. Her heart sank. But she didn't stop coming, she asked. If they catch us, what will they do? Alex answered without emotion. They'll take you, wipe my memory, and destroy everything we've built. Then he looked straight into her eyes. But we're not stopping, are we? She shook her head. Never. That night, Alex activated the skeletal frame of the robotic legs. They moved, slow and shaky, but they moved. Leora gasped, placing her hand on the cold metal. These will be mine? She whispered. Yes, Alex said, but they must become part of you. He opened a drawer and pulled out a vial glowing blue serum. This is neurobridge gel, he said. It helps your nerves talk to the machine. It's banned. She whispered. So is walking without permission, he answered. Leora took the vial and swallowed the gel without another word. Her stomach turned, her hands shook, but her eyes burned with light. Hours turned into days, and days into something stronger. Their bond became more than a builder and his subject. It became like family, or maybe something more. But neither of them spoke it aloud. Alex began building a small core inside the leg frame. It wasn't just tech, it was emotion. The core would respond to willpower, to anger, to hope. It would move only if the user wanted to live, not just survive. And Leora had more reason to live than anyone Alex had ever met. Outside the lab, 2 enforcer drones hovered silently near the scrapyard fence. Their cameras watched every spark, every whispered word. But Leora and Alex didn't see them yet. They were too busy chasing the impossible. Inside that dark, dusty lab, a miracle was coming together. Piece by piece, screw by screw. The girl who could not stand was about to rise. But someone somewhere was ready to crush her dreams before they could stand tall. The nights grew colder. The city lights flickered less often now. Power was being cut block by block. No one noticed the old scrapyard. But something inside it was changing the future. Inside the workshop, Leora stood between piles of wires and metal limbs. Not with her legs, she still sat in the wheelchair. But her mind was standing now, strong, alive, ready. Alex placed the final neural chip onto a glowing circuit board. It clicked into place with a soft hum. He turned to her and said, "Today, Your legs will speak to you. Leora's hands trembled. Not from fear, but because she had never been so close to something that wasn't a dream. Alex opened the silver case. Inside were two sleek robotic legs, long, strong, and curved with elegance. But not too bulky, not too sharp. They looked like they belonged to a dancer from another world. These were made for you, Alex said. They'll obey your thoughts. He pointed to the sockets where her nerves would connect. But they'll also test your will. Leora took a deep breath. I'm ready, she said, but her voice cracked slightly. He began the surgery, not in a hospital, but right there on a table made from old ship panels, with medicine he had built from scraps and black market serums. It was painful, every second burned, but Leora didn't scream. She bit down on a cloth, tears falling silently. Hours passed, then silence, then a spark. Her metal toes twitched. Alex smiled. You did it, he whispered. No. Leora said, her voice weak but proud. We did, but it wasn't over. She couldn't walk yet. The legs were only machines. They needed more than wires. They needed connection. For the next 2 weeks, they trained in secret. Alex built her a harness and handrails. At first, she fell every 2 steps. The legs moved, but her balance was broken. Her back screamed with pain, but she laughed through it, because pain meant her body was finally feeling something. Every night she collapsed onto the floor, sweaty, sore, bruised, and every morning she stood again, just 1 inch taller than before. The lab changed too. It no longer looked like a scrapyard. It was becoming a place of hope. Alex cleaned the floor, hung up a white cloth to hide the machines. He brought tea. Even though Leora didn't like the taste, she drank it anyway, because it was warm, because it was kind. Then, one night, something strange happened. As Leora trained, her legs moved. Faster than usual, too fast. She crashed into a wall, hard. Alex rushed to her side. Her hands were shaking. I didn't tell them to move like that, she whispered. Alex checked the core. The readings were emotional, not technical. These legs aren't just responding to thought, he said slowly. They're responding to feeling. Leora blinked. You mean, if I feel scared? They'll hesitate, Alex nodded. If I feel angry? They'll fight. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Leora asked softly, what happens if I fall in love? Alex didn't answer. He just looked away and started cleaning the broken wall. Outside, 2 figures stood watching the lab from the shadows. One spoke into a communicator. They've activated the prototype. The other one asked, shall we report it? No, the first replied. We'll wait. Let them finish. The next day, Alex told Leora they would test the legs outside. She froze. What if someone sees? They will, he replied. But they need to. That night, under a quiet sky, Leora stepped out of the scrapyard. 1 step, then another, then another. Her feet touched the real ground, not lab floors, not training pads, but cold, solid earth. A child saw her first. He pointed, shouting, look, the broken girl can walk. People gathered, some in awe, some in anger. A man threw a rock, yelling, abomination. Leora stood tall. Her legs adjusted on their own. The rock never reached her. It bounced off an invisible force field. Her body had triggered the leg's defense mode. She didn't even blink. She just kept walking. Back inside the lab, Alex watched her through the broken window. A soft smile touched his lips. They'll come for us now, he whispered to himself. But let them. Because outside, the girl who couldn't stand was running. Leora's feet touched the ground like thunder. Not because they were loud, but because they carried something impossible. Hope. Hope that moved. Hope that stood. Hope that should not exist under the law. People had seen her. Some ran away in fear. Others recorded with shaky hands. Some whispered the word miracle. But one man made a call to someone powerful, to someone who hated miracles. In the city's control center, red lights blinked. An alert flashed on the screen. Unauthorized cybernetic activation detected. Source, Sector 9. An officer squinted, zooming in on the footage, an alien girl walking, no, running, with legs made of metal and light. Beside her, a tall human man, holding a control tablet. The system recognized him instantly. Alex Ward, Earthborn engineer. Status, suspended, watch listed. An emergency council was called before midnight. 12 cold faces sat around a glowing table. Each represented a district, a race, a rule. One of them, a sharp-voiced woman named Marith, slammed her hand down. "I warned you," she hissed. "That human would poison our laws." They voted in silence, then sent out the order, destroy. The lab seized the girl, erased the human. That same night, Leora slept peacefully in the corner of the workshop, wrapped in a blanket, her robotic legs recharging beside her. Alex sat nearby, typing on an old tablet. He was recording data. Adjustments, code corrections. But every so often, his eyes drifted to her and stayed there too long. He saw the girl she was, and the woman she was becoming, not because of his machine, but because she believed. Suddenly, the lights flickered, then died. The lab was silent. Then came the low hum of a drone. Alex stood fast, eyes sharp. He knew that sound too well. It wasn't a visitor, it was a warning. Within seconds, the door exploded inward. 2 armored agents entered, first guns raised. Behind them marched a line of red visor enforcers. Leora woke up, eyes wide with shock. "Don't move," an officer ordered. Alex stepped in front of her. "She can't go with you," he said calmly. The officer sneered. "She doesn't belong to you, human." They grabbed her, pulling her from the floor. She screamed, not in pain, but in rage. Her legs, still attached, sparked violently. They glowed red, then blue, then white. Suddenly, one of the guards flew across the room. Her legs had activated defense mode. Automatically, her will had triggered them. The room exploded in chaos. Alex grabbed a stun bomb and threw it at the wall. Smoke poured in. He pulled Leora through the back exit. His workshop, the place he had built with love, was now burning behind them. They ran through alleyways, Leora stumbling slightly but faster with each step. She had never moved like this, not even in dreams, but now, chased by death. Her legs moved like fire. They found a safe house beneath the old train station, an abandoned maintenance room with flickering lights and broken lockers. Leora collapsed against the wall, her breathing heavy. Alex locked the door and dropped beside her. "They're not going to stop," she whispered. "They think I'm a weapon." Alex looked at her. "You're more dangerous than any weapon," he said, "because you make people believe." She closed her eyes, not to rest, but to remember. When she was 9, no one fought for her. No one carried her. She had crawled from the rubble with blood on her fingers. Now she ran through the night with fire in her steps. Outside, the government issued a bulletin. Wanted, human engineer Alex Ward and cyber-enhanced alien Leora, subject to detain or delete. The world was changing, and for the first time in years, the government felt afraid. Not because of a war, not because of a machine, but because one human and one broken girl had dared to build the impossible. The next day, rebels contacted Alex through secret radio. They had seen the footage. They had hope again. "Bring her to us," they said. "We will protect her." But Alex didn't answer yet. He looked at Leora. Her legs rested against the cold wall, still glowing gently. He knew she wasn't ready, not yet, but she would be. And when she stood next time, the galaxy would tremble. The sun had not yet risen, but inside the dark shelter beneath the train station, a spark lit the shadows. It came from Leora's legs charging again, healing, preparing. Alex sat quietly nearby. He hadn't slept. His eyes were tired, but his hands kept moving, adjusting wires, smoothing metal plates. The legs had protected Leora on their own. That meant they were learning faster than expected. That meant she was learning too. Leora opened her eyes slowly. Her body ached, her chest felt heavy, but her mind was clear. "I didn't fall," she whispered to herself. She looked down. The legs were still there, still hers, still ready. "Alex." turned to her and nodded. "We have one chance," he said. "The city is on lockdown, but the rebel medic station is open for 2 hours before sunrise." She blinked. "You want me to go outside?" "Not just go," he said. "You'll walk there." Liara sat in silence. Her heart pounded like thunder in her chest. "What if I can't?" she asked. Alex gave her a small smile. "Then you'll try again and again. That's the only rule here." She stood slowly. Her legs clicked into place with a low hum. They were stronger now, not just steel and wire, but something deeper, something alive. They felt like part of her. Not tools, not machines, just her. She took one step forward. The floor creaked, then another, and another, each step steadier. Then the last, she didn't just walk, she moved. Alex opened the door. Cold wind hit her face like a slap. The world outside didn't care that she had changed. But it would soon, They slipped through alleys. Shadows clinging to their backs, drones hovered above. One passed too close, Liara froze. Her foot halfway through a step. The drone scanned the street, then flew off. She let out a shaky breath. "I thought my heart would stop," Alex chuckled. "You'll get used to that feeling." Finally, they reached the edge of the medic zone. It was a broken plaza, part ruins, part tents. Sick aliens gathered near fires. Children coughed under old blankets, and still. They smiled, because this was one of the last safe places left. Liara stepped into the open light. The moment her foot touched the cracked stone, someone gasped. A woman dropped her bowl of soup. A child stood up, pointing. "She's walking." Heads turned, voices rose. People stepped closer, some in awe, some in disbelief. Her legs glowed gently with each step. She walked straight through the center, not hiding, not shaking, not apologizing. A man asked, "Are you one of them? A soldier?" She shook her head. "I'm just tired of sitting." A girl with no arms cried and whispered, "I want legs like yours." Liara knelt beside her and placed her metal hand over the girl's shoulder. "You will," she said softly. Sunday soon, inside one of the tents. The rebel medic, an old alien with cybernetic eyes, watched her. He spoke into his cum. "She's better than anything we imagined." But nearby, someone else was watching too. A government informant hidden in the shadows. He tapped his device, sending a silent message. Target sighted, walking without permit, ready for extraction. Liara reached the center of the plaza and stopped. She turned slowly, letting everyone see, not to show off, but to prove something, to prove it could be done. Alex stood behind her, quiet but proud. This was more than a test. This was a message, a whisper to every broken body, every forgotten soul, that standing was still possible, that falling was not the end. But before they could leave, sirens echoed through the air. Enforcer units were coming. The people scattered. Alex grabbed Liara's hand. "Time to run," he said. But she didn't move. "Let them come," she whispered. "I won't hide anymore." The plaza went quiet again. Even the wind paused. And as the boots of the enforcers grew louder, Liara stood taller, not with pride, but with purpose. This wasn't just a walk. It was the first step in a storm no one could stop now. Asterisk, they came from every direction. Black armor, red lights, steel boots stomping on broken ground. The enforcers had found them. The plaza turned from a safe place into a cage. Alex grabbed Liara's hand, but she pulled back. "I said I won't." "Run," she whispered. He looked into her eyes. "I know," he replied, "but you can't fight all of them." The crowd scattered into alleys. Mothers carried children. Elders limped away. Only Liara stood still, metal legs locked into place. Humming quietly, one enforcer stepped forward. His weapon pointed straight at her chest. "Liara of the Yishael," he shouted. "You are under arrest for illegal cybernetic enhancement." His voice echoed like thunder across the empty plaza. Alex stepped in front of her. "She has the right to walk," he said. "She has the right to live." The officer ignored him. "Move aside, human, or be erased." Alex didn't move. And that's when everything snapped. A shot fired. Not from a weapon, From Leora's legs, the energy pulsed from her calves and launched her forward. She twisted mid-air and kicked the enforcer in the chest. His armor cracked, sparks flew. He collapsed without a sound. Silence followed, then chaos. 4 more enforcers rushed forward. Alex ducked behind a crate, pulling a smoke capsule from his jacket. He tossed it high, and smoke exploded around them. "Run!" He yelled, but Leora didn't want to run. She wanted to fight. Her legs responded instantly. They shifted into combat mode, heels sharp, joints locked for power. She moved like lightning, grabbing one soldier and flipping him over. 2 more. Aimed tasers, she dodged both, spinning low and sweeping their feet. Alex watched in awe, his creation. No, her creation was more alive than anything he'd ever built. But then he saw it. One enforcer didn't attack Leora. He aimed at Alex. A dart hit him in the back. He gasped, falling forward. Leora turned at the sound. "No!" She screamed. Her voice cracked like fire. She ran to him, dropping to her knees. He was still breathing, but barely. They had used a neural poison. If he didn't get help in 10 minutes, he would forget everything, even her. The enforcers regrouped, closing in from all sides. "You have one chance," the leader said coldly. "Surrender the tech, or we erase you both." Leora stood slowly, her hands shaking, not from fear. From rage, her legs glowed brighter than ever. Not red, not blue, but white. A color no one had seen before. She looked down at Alex. His lips moved weakly. "Don't choose me. Choose freedom." But Leora shook her head. "I choose both," she whispered. Then she ran, not away, but through the enemy. She spun, kicked, ducked, launched. The enforcers couldn't follow her speed. Her legs adjusted in real time, turning emotion into motion. Pain into power, hope into fire. She grabbed a shock rod and used it like a blade, blocking, striking, slamming it into armor joints. One enforcer tried to retreat. She grabbed his helmet and yanked it off. "No more cages," she growled. "No." More orders. When the last enforcer fell, the plaza was silent again. Leora dropped the rod, breathing hard. Then she ran to Alex. He was barely conscious. She lifted him into her arms, his weight heavy, but her legs held firm. People came out from hiding, staring, whispering, recording. Some cried, some knelt. The girl who once couldn't stand was now everyone's guardian. A rebel medic rushed over, injecting Alex with a blue vial. "He'll live," the medic said. Leora's shoulders dropped with relief. Then she looked around. The enforcers were gone. But more would come. She knew that now. "I can't hide anymore," she said quietly. The medic nodded. "Then don't." He replied, "Lead." That night, Leora didn't sleep. She sat beside Alex, holding his hand, her legs resting beside her like loyal beasts. The city was changing, not because of war, not because of machines, but because one girl stood when she wasn't supposed to, and now the world would have to choose. Let her fall, or follow her step. The city was no longer asleep. It watched, not from rooftops or drones, but through screens, whispers, and breaking signals. News of the walking girl spread like fire. Not the kind that burns, but the kind that awakens. Leora's face was everywhere. Not polished, not posed, just raw, bruised, shining with sweat and power. The image that stunned the galaxy showed her standing over fallen enforcers, her metal legs glowing white, her eyes lit with something stronger than anger, truth. Inside the rebels' hidden camp, Alex slowly opened his eyes. He lay on a thin cot, his head resting on folded cloth. Light flickered above him. He groaned softly, confused. Then he saw her sitting beside him, holding a cup of warm broth. "You're awake," she whispered. Alex blinked. "Did we make it?" Leora gave a small smile. "We did more than make it," she said. "We changed the world." He sat up slowly, pain still in his chest, but his mind was clear. He remembered her, every word, every step. That meant the poison didn't win, outside the tent. Rebels gathered, not just fighters, engineers, farmers, disabled elders, orphan children. They came not for war, but to learn, to walk, Leora stepped out of the tent. She wasn't hiding anymore. She stood tall, not like a soldier, but like a lighthouse in the dark. A young girl with only one arm walked up to her. "Can I have legs like yours someday?" she asked. Leora knelt and touched the girl's cheek. "You can have better," she said. "I'll build them myself." That same day, rebels and refugees gathered in the old city square. They carried signs, tools, and messages, some said. "We stand with Leora. Walking should not be a crime. Human tech. Alien strength, one hope." Alex watched from the balcony of a nearby building. His body weak, but his heart strong. Beside him stood the rebel leaders. They looked at Leora like she was a star in the sky. One of them turned to Alex. "You didn't just give her legs," he said. "You gave all of us a future." The sector authority tried to respond. They sent ships. They blocked news streams. They called her a weapon, a fake, a human puppet. But it was too late. Leora walked into their own headquarters. Alone, wearing the same broken coat from the scrapyard. She didn't bring weapons. She brought a broadcast. She spoke to the entire system. "To the girl who sits in a wheelchair afraid to hope, stand with me. To the boy who lost his limbs in a minefield, walk with me. To the leaders who fear the change I bring, try to stop me." Then she turned off the broadcast and simply walked out. No one touched her. Not one soul dared to stop her. Weeks passed, then months. The world didn't change in one night, but the silence was broken. Doors began to open. New clinics rose from rubble. Rebel engineers worked with human techs. Leora's legs were copied, improved, shared. She returned to the scrapyard, what was left of it, and rebuilt the lab. Not to hide, but to teach. Children rolled in on wheelboards, walked out with glowing limbs. Some danced for the first time in their lives. Alex stayed at her side, not as a leader, not as a hero, but as her friend, her partner, her equal. One night, as stars sparkled above the metal roofs, he looked at her and said, "Do you know what you are now?" Leora looked up and smiled. "I'm the girl who walks," she said. "No," Alex replied. "You're the one who never stopped." In a corner of the galaxy where dreams once died in silence, footsteps now echoed, not with fear, but with freedom. And wherever a child dreamed of standing, Leora's name was whispered like a promise. Not because of metal, not because of wires, but because she believed when no one else did. She wasn't just walking, she was leading, and the world followed.